of minutes about some specific ideas that I've got for trying to make whatever this transition is going to be from what we have going on now into whatever the next thing is going to be. My ideal situation that I think would come out of this is that we have a three currency asset system where you've got Treasury issued notes that are issued debt-free by the Treasury to pay for the infrastructure projects, and this money can only be spent into the economy by the government to completely domestic companies. And there may need to be a employee ownership aspect to that, because what we want to make sure is that this money goes to the people who are actually doing the work, getting the raw materials, putting out the finished product, and all the layers in between. So number one, the Treasury issued notes, no central banks, no private banks, Treasury issued notes, debt-free, and their quantity to be controlled by Congress. Now, the second one is the gold. All of the gold currently held by the government should be divided by everyone's command deposits. That would include your savings and your checking account. All the paper that exists now, all the digits that are, unless you work for banks. If you have a history working for investment banks or any of these corrupt banks, you are going to be in the triage separated pool, because everything having to do with derivatives, mortgage-backed securities, credit default swaps, interest rate swaps, all of that trash, all of that garbage, the mirror system, all of that, everything at commodities trading, all of that is separated. All we're talking about is command deposits, checking, and savings. And you take the gold that's out there, that's held by the country, and divide that by the paper, and then you get a gold to paper issue. And that gold should be remelted into probably 1/10 ounce and 1/5 of an ounce, very small quantity gold coins, and have those spent back out into have the people trade in their command deposit Federal Reserve notes for the gold, if we have any gold. And that's kind of an interesting aspect to this. The silver that's held is mostly already held by the people, and there has to be revaluation of the silver. And what I would say is that however much gold is within that currency system, silver should be revaluated against it as how much above ground quantity is available. Now that's going to spike silver through the roof, but that is going to happen anyways, just because of the paper shorts and all the stuff that JP Morgan, the metal manipulation that's going on. I'd imagine silver will come back to a 1-to-10 ratio, but because of the industrial application and the fact that silver is becoming harder and harder to mine, more energy intense to mine this stuff, the price of silver is going to go through the roof, and that's why I'm buying it. But then, so at this point, now you have three currencies that are all, whether you want to participate in them or not, all voluntary. I think the Treasury notes should be, legal tender, made good for all payments with the government and all that. But I do think that private business should have the opportunity to long as it says in the contract, made payable in either gold or silver, hey, that's the way it should be. The government is there to enforce contract, and as long as we have voluntary association and open and competitive bidding and transparent contracts, then there should be no problem as long as everybody's adhering to a contract. So the problem comes in is when the government starts to enforce contracts, make all mandatory provisions in contracts. That's up for business people and property owners to decide. Now, you got these three different currencies that'll compete with each other, and if people are looking to save, and there probably will be an inherent inflation to the Treasury issued notes. Especially at first, if people are worried about working and wanting to save and protecting themselves against that inherent inflation, it's up to the Congress people, and that's why they've got to be responsible with their targeted inflation numbers. 0.5% or 0.75%. Try to keep it under 1%, and that way, new people, young people coming into the system can have the currency that they need in order to operate, while at the same time, people in their middle ages, 35 to 55, who are trying to save for retirement, are trying to save, and so that offers them the gold and silver coinage to long-term savings, and it's safe. It's safe and it's guaranteed. And then you got the older generation where this system is after a couple of generations having it work, you have the older generation that's now spending their savings, it's gold and silver, back into the market, and hopefully the new crop of young people are looking to buy that and save, and so you've got this constant circular flow of who's using which currency. And we've got to eliminate all of the debit cards, the electronic transactions. There should be clearinghouses, and the banks will probably talk to each other. But as far as relying on these electronic transactions, that's very dangerous. Within this system, we also, and this is key, we have to get rid of the fractional reserve banking. Fractional reserve banking would be considered counterfeiting. Banks cannot loan money that they do not have. And investment banks have to be separated from the commercial banks. Commercial banking is going to get real boring under this system. Also, investment banking will get it. Hopefully there is no investment banking. I'd like to see, if you want to start investing, you have to first save this money and then directly invest into the companies, and I would say either by buying stocks or corporate bonds or some other kind of way that the company can get the revenue and pay out a dividend to the investor, and not using usury. So usury is another thing that we have to get rid of in this. I like Chris Duane's stuff. If you haven't checked this stuff out, it's Silver Bullet, Silver Shield. It absolutely parallels almost everything that I've in my brain have been gnawing over for the last 3 years. And I tell you what, Chris has done an absolutely fantastic job of laying it all out in a very succinct and understandable manner. But getting back to this three-tier, this three-currency system. Number one, the Treasury issued notes. Number two, the remelted gold bars that are traded in for people's savings. And you got to remember, right now the FDIC is the only thing that protects your savings, checkings, deposit accounts. These are called demand deposit accounts. And in the future, these things have to be 100% back, which means more than likely the bank is going to charge you a fee for you to hold that, for you to have them hold that money and do any kind of checkbook or electronic debit transactions, because the bank has to then take the paper that you deposited and transfer it to the bank that you wrote that check or made that transaction out with. And that's going to keep currencies real local, because you're going to have to ship, if you're making big payments over long distances, there'll have to be currency shipments or other swaps. But what I'm saying is that and this is where I part from a lot of libertarians, is that I think that there does need to be a government agency in force that actually has the ability to go into these bank vaults and do real on-the-spot, unannounced audits. And a couple of these a month, and because banks have never operated under this kind of system before. This is going to be new to everybody. Actually, honesty and integrity. When you have banks that are loaning out money that doesn't exist, or the credit card system where it's just the swipe of a card and this new credit is created out of nothing, that whole thing has to die. And because we have this cheap and easy credit, and also the government spending, creates the misappropriation of the capital. The electric companies wouldn't be able to build this entire big stupid grid unless it had the banking interest and the fractional reserve banking behind it to fund it, to initially put all of it out there. If Tesla was allowed to expand on his free energy, and if they told J.P. Morgan back in the day to go, take a hike, man, that guy, he did such damage just with that. We would all have systems that probably would cost about $2,500, and it would power our house. All of our electrical needs, including a shop and even a greenhouse or what have you. And think about not having to pay electricity and how much money is wasted paying for that, when there is the technology, without a doubt, that's out there that they do not want us to have, because they want us hooked up to this electric slave grid, and the smart meters allow it to spy on you. And not to mention the physical problems that all of this magnetism causes. I don't know if the electric motors would be any better, but I know I can park a car away from my house and run some wires, so I ain't got the daggone smart meter sitting right next to the daggone bed. Man, that crap pisses me off. But anyways, currencies, people, that's where it's at. Tomorrow being July 4th, I do want to go up to Philadelphia and see if I can talk some sense into these Occupy folk, and see if I can just get them to embrace the idea of trading in their banknotes, their private Federal Reserve banknotes, for constitutional silver, and using that as their barter system, and making that their message, and to reject the taxation. Don't ask for free stuff. Just let me be, so that I can make something for myself. Because right now, again, I'll say it again, we are being ground between the wheels of inflation and taxation. And by transferring or what we use for currency into a gold and silver coinage, that takes their power away, because their power only exists at the end of a printing press, and our faith in that everybody else is going to accept these notes. I'd love for a guy to tell me, "Cash is king, I got cash for you." I'm like, no, dude, I don't even want that. Do you have any silver coins? I'll take that. That's all for now.